Hello, my name is Evgenia, the name you probably won't be able to pronounce for some time, and welcome to the wonderful and frustrating world of the Russian language. If you always wanted to learn Russian, first of all, I think you're very strange and unusual, but as long as you're not gonna sum up any demons from hell, I think we're gonna have fun here.
I myself am strange and unusual.
If you're having doubts about learning Russian, here are 5 very good reasons for you to give it a try. First and biggest reason is, of course, to have an actual conversation with real Russians and Russian-speaking people from all over the world, like me. Привет! The second reason is to read Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, and other Russian classics in their original language. That would be really cool, right? To have a conversation, to read Russian classics. What else can you do with Russian? Well, for example, you can make fun of Russians in Hollywood movies because you just know that everything that they're saying is a complete nonsense.
Kokainom.
Russian can help you to expand your mind and taste your patience. It's not an easy language to learn by any means, but it's so worth it if you do. And also, it's a really good party trick, trust me. What are your reasons for learning Russian? Leave a comment below, and anyway, welcome. This is your Первое слово in Russian. Before starting to learn Russian, it might be useful to know what the hell Russian actually is and how it came to be. Well, the short answer is no one really knows, and the long answer is something like this. The Russian language is an East Slavic language of the Slavic part of the Balto-Slavic branch of the Indo-European language family. Russian is the largest native language in Europe and is in the top 10 languages of the world. With 153 million native speakers and 253 million speakers in total, Russian is an official language of Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan, and is widely used in all of the countries that were part of the Soviet Union. You can also find a lot of Russian speakers in other countries of the world, most notably in Germany, the US, and Israel. Russian is also one of the 6 official languages of the United Nations, and is one of the 2 languages you must know to work on the International Space Station, so you must definitely won't have a problem in finding Russian-speaking partner to speak with, even in space. Gee, that was a mouthful. But anyway, where does the Russian language come from? It's complicated. Historians and linguists love to debate this stuff, but the gist of the most common version is something like this. In the 10th century, people living in Kiev and Rus spoke the same language, Old East Slavic or Old Russian. Although it is the direct ancestor of modern Russian, Ukrainian, and Belarusian, it is highly unlikely that today anyone other than linguists would be able to understand much in Old East Slavic. Russian was influenced by Germanic, Baltic, Greek, Latin, and other languages over the years, and you can see the traces of that influence in some words you can probably recognize from your respectable languages. The language that influenced Russian the most was probably Old Church Slavonic, which was standardized by 2 missionaries' brothers, Cyril and Methodius, who also created an alphabet for it called Glagolitsa, making it the first Slavic written language. Glagolitsa was later modernized into Cyrillic alphabet by Cyril and Methodius' disciples. Up to the 18th century, people were writing in one language, Church Slavonic, but speaking in Russian. Good thing you should only learn one these days, right? Then comes a guy you probably heard something about, Peter the Great. His whole thing was changing things, so he changed the alphabet a bit and ordered everyone to write in Russian from now on. Of course, not everyone was happy about all of it, but in the end, a little-known Russian poet Pushkin came along. He, in his writing, popularized the perfect mixture of the 2 languages, creating a standard literature language that we use today. You would never guess what happened in Russia in the 20th century. Revolution. In the Soviet Union, Russian was a national language of all Soviet states. The language was heavily influenced by communist ideology and was further standardized for all. Today we live with a post-Soviet Russian which is being influenced by everyone and everything around it, most of all the internet and English. That was a really simplified version of the history of the Russian language. If you want to learn more about it, I'd recommend you check out Arzamas's amazing video. It has English subtitles, the link will be in the description. Now that you're hopefully convinced that Russian is the language to learn, let's see what you will be actually dealing with. Well, I've got some good and some bad news for you. As already mentioned, the Russian language uses the Cyrillic alphabet. While it might look foreign and intimidating, it really isn't. It's pretty easy to learn, and with a bit of patience, you will be reading in Russian in no time at all. Of course, you won't understand anything that you're reading at first, but it's a really good start. Another good news is that the words actually sound like they're written. Kinda. Maybe not? It's complicated, but I promise you won't find anything as infuriating as thought or Q, for example. No accents. There are no accents in Russian. There might be some small regional differences in pronunciation here and there, and the usage of some terms might earn you a side eye from the residents of St. Petersburg, but people who speak Russian can easily understand each other, doesn't matter where they're from. There are no articles either. Russians can easily identify their car from a car, so just not a thing. While Russian has a standard SVO word order, nothing is really set in stone. By changing the word order in the sentence, you can really emphasize the meaning, but it never results in an incomprehensible mess. For example, you can say «Я люблю тебя» or «Я тебя люблю» or «Тебя люблю я», and everyone would understand that you mean «I love you». The flexible word order is possible because we have something called cases, which sadly brings me to the bad news part of this introduction. There are 6 cases in total, and they change the endings of the words by which you can identify their meaning in the sentence. Also, nouns have genders. They can be masculine, feminine, or neutral, and can be in a singular or plural form. Other words change according to the noun, so for example, if you saw something beautiful and wanted to express it, you would need to choose one of the 24 variants of the word красивый. The Russian language has just 3 tenses, past, present, and future. Sounds pretty simple, but of course it isn't. Each verb has 2 aspects, perfective and imperfective. And it's a really complicated topic for more of an advanced level of Russian, so just forget I said anything and relax, but just for now. The verbs that can help you to express motion are some of the most used and at the same time some of the most complicated verbs in Russian. There are hundreds of ways to say the verb to go, and I'm so sorry, but you would need to know them all. One of the reasons there are so many ways to say the verb to go is the ability to add prefixes to the word to change its meaning. We can also add a diverse set of suffixes, diminutives, and augmentatives, and basically create hundreds and hundreds of new words which everyone would probably understand. For example, here are some of the nicknames my friends and family have called me over the years. Depending on your native language and the languages you have previously learned, some of the Russian sounds and combinations of sounds might be hard to pronounce for you, but practice works like a charm, and pretty soon you will be able to say «Шла Саша по шоссе и сосала сушку» like it's a second name. That's it, guys. The basics are covered. Now you know why Russian is so cool and useful. You know what is Russian and how is Russian and why is Russian, and you know the causes of dread and celebration in the process of learning it. I hope I didn't scare you too much, and I will see you in the next video. Subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment on what should we cover in the future, but for now, here's your первое слово. До свидания.